All right, guys, so today I've got a good friend of mine, Virginia Dempsey here. She's also been a client of mine before. We want to kind of go over, Virginia's journey as far as the things she's experienced over the years of eating clean, dieting, working out, things like that, just so she can give you an idea. Obviously, she's in amazing shape, but there's been an evolution that's happened over time. It hasn't just occurred overnight, correct?
Correct.
Kind of give us an idea. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what you think are the most important key points that you've learned over this 20-year journey. Is that right?
21.
21 years. Okay. Between the keeping your physique and then the little habits that you've learned, but the most important parts. Also, I forgot to tell you guys, she's a mother of 2. So, ladies, that's not an excuse. Having kids. Mother of 2 works, like she's got the whole thing going on right here, right? So anybody can do it, all right, if you put your mind to it, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool. So yeah, give us an idea, kind of a little rundown as what you think, what you've kind of gone through over the years and develop habits you've developed and what you think the most important things are that you've taken up from that 21 years of experience.
Okay, so I started exercising in the gym consistently when I was 18. So I started working out with my mom. I saw my mom when I was growing up, going to the gym, exercising, taking care of herself. So that was instilled in me at a very young age. I was always an athlete in high school. Didn't play in college, but continued to play athletically and competitively after high school. And so I always lifted, I always exercised. I was always very mindful of what I was eating. Met my husband in the gym. I've been married 15 years now, met my husband in the gym, so that helps in accountability, in having a support system, and just having a journey of going from exercising, being consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean I exercise 5 to 6 days a week. And I've been doing that for about 20 or 21 years. When I go on vacation, I always have to do something active just because for me, it's a mental health therapeutic thing.
Right.
And it became just, I want to exercise because I don't want to gain weight. And then it transferred into, as time went by, as I had children, into, hey, this is what I need to actually function throughout my day.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I need to actually get to be in a good mood, to feel good, to feel accomplished, to be able to go from early in the morning exercising all day long to be able to get through the day. If I don't exercise, it's kind of like there's certain things people do to make themselves feel better or to make themselves be able to get through the day. For me, an early morning exercise session is what gets it for me. So I've kind of trained my body and trained my brain to really want that push. And then in addition to that, just learning what foods work for my body, what works for person A is not gonna work for person B.
Mm-hmm.
And just being consistent. I think you said what the key points to take away from having fitness in your life and being consistent is consistency.
Right.
So you have to start somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere, but being consistent, I believe that consistency slowly is better than just going in, hey, I'm gonna go in for 4 weeks and I'm gonna lose 30 pounds and it's gonna be great, because you're gonna get burned out, mm-hmm. right? So consistency builds habits, and then those habits over the years, over time, just become lifestyle, and
right.
they become habitual. So for me, eating clean, eating healthy, eating a consistent breakfast every morning, having my meals packed, going with my food to work, waking up, going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time. Those are all habits, and that's all just consistency. And for me and my lifestyle, that's not hard because it's just always what I've done.
Right, and so you've probably changed over the years as far as like your goals.
Correct.
And how those habits have become, for a lot of people, they'll start something that's completely against their grain,
right?
Whatever their goal is, and then all of a sudden that becomes norm.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, the next goal.
Right.
You come up against something where it's like, okay, that's different.
Right.
But just like anything else, when you first start something and you don't know everything about it, it gets hard.
Right.
And it's foreign.
Is
that kind of how it's gone?
Right. So I remember when I first started exercising, I was like, well, I've always been an athlete, and I just was like, okay, let me just exercise so I don't, put on 30 pounds after I graduated high school, and so all those things. So I just kind of did just went to the gym and I just exercised and I just was mindful of what I was eating. And then I got married and then I was like, oh, I'm pregnant. Okay, well now I don't want to have a pregnancy where I have, gestational diabetes and I'm, 45 pounds and then I don't want to get to a point where I'm pregnant and I put on 45 pounds and then I have to take all that, feel like, and not feel comfortable in my skin, not feel sexy, and not feel all those things within my marriage. So I just kind of did it, just kind of, and the goal from, going from just starting when I was 18, 19, and then when I was in my 20s, your metabolism changes, your hormones change, you're nursing, you're breastfeeding, you're pregnant, and all those things. And so kind of have to, it's a wave, right? It's a up and down, but you kind of figure out over time, again, I've been doing it 20, 21 years, over time, what works for your body. And I just knew that the goal was never to look like this. Right. The goal was always just to feel good.
Right.
And in over years, I was like, oh, I can actually eat a good amount of food and I can exercise and I can feel good and I can feel, my brain can feel like I'm doing something productive and I can look good.
Right.
Or I can feel like I look good.
And you're probably, your daily average intake is what? 2,000 calories plus?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I play beach volleyball competitively regularly. If I am playing, if I'm going for a day I've gotten to a point now with my macros and my food where I kind of the carb cycle. So if I know, and I've talked to you about this before, I know that if I'm going to be playing 4 hours at a tournament, the day before, I'm going to increase those calories. Right. I'm going to increase those carbs. If I go to work and it's a Monday morning and I'm sitting at my desk for 6 hours, I don't need 300 extra calories of carbohydrates.
This is perfect examples of what happens once you get to your maintenance phase.
Right. So now, right.
So you've learned over time, what your body can take, how food affects it, and then based on your dietary intake and your activity level, what alterations you need to make and how to make those in order to maintain your weight.
Yes.
And so this is what, this is the system that I try to tell people is like, this is an evolutionary thing.
Right.
It's not, fitness and changing your body and your habits is not a sprint. It's very much a marathon.
Yes.
And that typically changes throughout the entirety of that program, right?
Yes. So my goal, when I was pregnant and I was carrying my babies, my goal wasn't to be lean. My goal was to be healthy and to be active, and then to be able to be at a point where when I would have a good delivery, and not be able to come back and feel good and still be at a point where I could, I've gained 20 pounds. I can lose 20 pounds. I can eat the correct foods and I can exercise, but when I couldn't get to the gym when my babies were 3 months old because there was no daycare at the gym for 3-month-old babies. Right. I exercised at home with my babies. I was still active. I went for jogs with them. So I always incorporated them into, and so I never have used my children or my job or being married, or any of those things as an excuse to why I couldn't reach my goals. Mind over matter, right?
And a lot of this has to do with, again, you keep using the word mindfulness, right? You're aware.
I'm aware.
You're thinking about it and you're making a conscious effort to choose this food over that food.
Correct.
To go be active and get up early in the morning to go work out versus sleeping in
and
eating, a donut for breakfast,
right?
So those are mental choices that you're making and decisions that you're following through with. And
not to say that donuts are great. I love them and I will eat them, but I tell people, on a Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, I don't need a donut on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. Now if I haven't had a donut in a couple of months, and then I'm going out to a party, and then sure I'll have it. But I'm also mindful of okay, I've had the donut. Probably shouldn't have another piece of pizza later. Probably shouldn't eat, drink the Coke later, because then I'm just going to snowball into reverting back to habits that I'm not comfortable with, and then I don't feel good, and then I'm in a mood, and then my husband's like, "Oh, you're in a mood," and so it just kind of I know that it just snowballs into not good stuff, not mentally for me.
So one of the things that that happens after you've done this over years and years and years, and you've learned how to be mindful and to take control, is that you literally can do that. You can go and you can have a donut, or you can eat some pizza, or whatever the case may be. But you can stop.
Right.
You don't have to continue to binge eat. And one of the things that a lot of my clients, when they're first starting, happens is that, if I give them a cheat meal, or they'll be like, "Oh, I felt so bad I cheated," or if I don't give them a cheat meal and they go do it on their own, and then they come in and they're like, "Oh, I wasted the whole weekend because I cheated. I had pizza and I just felt bad, and so I just ate like crap the whole weekend."
Right.
And
it's a snowball. It's a snowball
effect, right? And so, that's when I tell clients there's a reason while you have to have a period where you don't
Restrict, right? There's some
where you
restriction.
don't- Yeah, there's restriction where you have to get out of those habits and those food addictions to where you have the strength in your brain, that mindset allows you to be like, oh, okay, I can eat this one time and then get right back on.
Right. Because I know, and we know that one meal is not going to derail all of your work. Just like eating one healthy meal is not going to make you lose 45 pounds.
Right. I use the analogy.
Same thing.
Like, one meal is like a speed bump. A weekend of meals like that is more like hitting a wall.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So it can still be undone, but now you've just wasted, X amount of time on the treadmill. And for a lot of people, they don't like doing cardio on the treadmill or whatever the case may be. And, so what I make them think about is, okay, for everything that you're eating that's not on your diet, that's a week's worth of cardio that you just wasted.
It is, yes.
So you just spent, let's say you do 30, an hour a day. That's 7 hours of your life spent that you just wasted on one meal that you ate in 10 minutes.
Right.
Just gone.
Wasting time and money.
Time and money.
Right. And no one wants to waste time or money.
The biggest takeaway there is make it worth it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't waste that time and money, right? You if you're going to put in the time on that cardio and do those workouts, don't counteract it.
Right.
With the exact same calories that's going to leave you right where you're at.
Right.
Because then you're just you're working out to eat what you want.
Right. And I always will tell people, do you work out to eat, or do you eat for your workouts?
Right.
So I have always thought about it like, okay, what is my workout? What should I be eating to get to do that workout?
Right.
If I'm playing 4 hours of volleyball, in the hot sun, then I need certain specific foods to be able to get through that workout, right? Because it's a workout. But I'm not eating all the food and then, let me go work out because I ate all the food. And I think that's where some people, they want to eat the food and then they want to work it off.
Right.
And it's hard to out exercise a bad diet,
Right.
bad nutrition.
And your kids, they pretty much follow the same.
Yeah, they follow,
food structure
and
all that too,
they'll complain about it, and so be it.
Yeah.
They can complain about it, but I cook, and again, they eat when they're at their friend's house. They may eat whatever, and that's fine. But I also don't raise them in a home where like they can never have sugar,
Right.
they can never have the frosting on the cake. It's not like that. If they want something, we're out and about. They want a Starbucks cake pop, we'll get them a Starbucks cake pop, because I don't want them to have a bad relationship with food and then to grow.
You're not putting them on a diet.
Correct. No. I'm giving them real food.
You're feeding them real food.
Real food.
And then every once in a while they
Right,
get a treat.
right.
But you don't deprive them of that treat.
Correct.
But you're also not feeding it to them day in
On
and
the
day
day,
out.
right.
Right.
So, and I think when you talked about your bullseye and your maintenance and your healthy and all your zones, it is important to understand that like people see what I eat and they're like, I couldn't eat that. Well, this is just real food.
Yes.
It's just chicken and vegetables and salad and rice and complex carbs. Like these are all just foods that we should be eating
Right.
on the regular.
Right.
It's nothing special. And so we shouldn't be eating the fast food and the Doritos and the pizza on the regular.
Right.
We should be eating the food that is actual food that we should be cooking on the regular.
Exactly. So that goes back to when I tell people that the difference between the types of foods. Natural food does not make you crave it. Nowhere in my life have I ever heard any of my friends say, on a Friday night, man, I'm really craving, a spinach salad or just a plain chicken breast. Why? Because nature, it's not building food to make you addicted to it. It's there for your body to nourish.
Food,
the body,
food
right?
is fuel.
Exactly, just to fuel the body. But when we're talking about, processed foods that are built with certain recipes, those things are designed to trigger those addiction centers in your mind.
To suck you in.
The sugar, the fat,
Yes.
the salt, and they're trying to hit those little triggers that are going to make you want to come back and buy more and get you addicted to it. And that's really the difference. You can sit there and eat, I'll use Snicker bar as an example, or candy bar, if you will. And people are, I don't like candy. I don't like sugar. Okay, well, that bowl of chips and avocado, the guacamole that you're eating, or queso, right, is the same thing. It's still going to sit there and make you crave it. So it doesn't matter if you're a salty or a sugary. They both have the same food
Correct.
addictions. You're sitting there putting down Doritos with the, cheese dip or a, chocolate cake with some ice cream. You're not stopping. You know
Right.
what I mean? Those are both processed foods. So, that is really what people have to take away, is that when you can understand the differences of foods and how they actually will either control you or not control you, and you're making the choice, and that's really what it is.
Right, it's a choice.
You're controlling what you eat, or you're letting the food control
Correct,
what you eat.
right. And there's something very, I say therapeutic, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it's kind of nice to be able to say, oh, I'm not gonna eat that.
Gratifying?
Gratifying, that's the word, yes. It's very gratifying to oh, there's all this food there, I don't need that. And then it gives you a little bit of, hey, I'm in control.
Right.
I'm in control. And because our lives are so busy with work and kids and family and mortgages and all the bills and everything we have going on. And then if you can dial in hey, I do have control over some stuff. And not in a weird way, but just that you have control over what you're eating,
right.
what you're putting in your mouth and what you're not. And I think that women also tend to go into oh, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna eat less. I'm gonna eat less, I'm gonna really dip my calories down. I'm counting my calories, I'm really gonna drop them down. And then they'll see me and they'll say, well, how many calories you got? I'm like, well, today I ate 2,100 calories, and how do you eat that much? Well, it's because it's real food.
Right.
It's real food, and that goes a longer way than a burger and fries on a Tuesday afternoon.
Now, I also want to tell, especially the ladies out there, that when you guys are talking about weight loss, weight is irrelevant. It's all about fat loss, correct?
Yes.
It's composition is what you're
right.
trying to
We're
change.
trying to change the way our body looks.
I know women hate hearing this, but how much do you weigh?
Usually 155, 160, 165.
Okay. So 160 pounds.
I sit around 160, 165.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last time we did your body fat, it was what?
10%.
10%?
10, 12%, 10, 12%.
Yeah. So that's what 160 pounds looks like, guys. She's not 90 pounds, right? Eating over 2,000 calories a day, right? And probably more on your way active days.
Yes.
But you have to get to this point, of lifestyle to where you maintain this. You're active every single day, you're eating healthy every single day, but the predecessor to that is the different stages to get you to that point.
Correct.
Because it is very much, a cycle that you have to break and then relearn everything
Right.
along the way.
Right.
And all of this stuff I tell people, it compounds. You're learning, everything you learn along the way feeds each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's okay, I took this knowledge from this phase and then applied it here in this phase. Very much like a lesson plan at a school, where it starts off with the easy stuff and then it compounds
Right.
and builds over the school year.
Right.
And then you get tested on everything.
Right.
But you have all that knowledge over the year, right?
Yes.
And then you just keep doing that for years and years and years.
Years, literally
And
years
then-
and years and
yes.
years.
And then
Years.
you can turn into where you're at, right? It's easy because it's normal.
And I feel like it's not difficult for me because it's just my life. It's just
Right.
it's just the food is just it's to me. I feel like it tastes good. It tastes good to me, and it's just what I eat. And occasionally I'll have the burger, and occasionally I'll have the ice cream and the pizza. But that's occasional, and those foods really should be occasional.
Right.
Those foods were not made for us to eat daily.
Yeah,
and
they're
they
treats for a
should be.
reason.
Yeah, they're cheat meals for a reason because we're not really supposed to be doing that all the time.
Right.
And if we can get our mindset to understand that that's not a normal food, that the broccoli, the chicken, the proteins, those kinds of foods, those are what we should be eating on the regular.
Right. All right, guys. Well, this has been Virginia. Hopefully it's good insight for you. Ladies, don't take it from me. Take it from a lady who's married, got kids, who's done it for a long period of time. It is possible. Virginia, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking to me. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys later.